Working Document, Through Wall Flashing Series from Ostermiller. Episode 2, 3 Levels, Not One Price. The moment you hand a customer one number on a masonry repair, you've lost. Their brain immediately starts looking for someone who'll do it cheaper. Give them 3 levels and something different happens.
What happens?
They start comparing your levels against each other instead of comparing you against the guy with the caulk gun and a pickup truck. One of those conversations you win. The other one you win about 30% of the time, which is not a business. This is The Working Document, Episode 2 of the Through Wall Flashing series. If you caught Episode 1, you know the technical foundation, how masonry walls are designed to let water in and send it back out. The difference between reglé counter-flashing and true through-wall flashing, and why the previous contractor's perfectly good caulk repair didn't actually fix the problem. Today is scope and pricing. 3 levels of repair, how to present them honestly, and why presenting levels instead of a single number is how premium contractors win jobs. They have no business winning on price alone.
Let's start with the diagnosis side. You don't walk in and open with the 3 levels?
The 3 levels only make sense after you've established what's actually happening with the water. That's Episode 1. You walk the wall, you explain the water path, you show them why the system is failing. Then the 3 levels are a logical next step, not a menu.
Walk me through the 3 levels.
Level 1 is maintenance. Recaulk the reglé, seal the masonry, minor repairs. The app puts the price range at $500 to $2,000. This is the least invasive option.
Who is level 1 for?
Someone who has a genuinely minor issue or someone with a genuine budget constraint who understands they're buying time, not a solution. The key word is honest, the exact language from the app. This may help temporarily, but it does not address water entering behind the brick veneer. You say that out loud before they sign anything.
Why is that disclosure so important?
Because the alternative is a customer who picks level 1 thinking it's permanent, it doesn't hold, they call you angry, and now you're defending a repair that you knew was a maintenance measure. Say it up front. Document it. If they pick level 1 knowing exactly what it is, that's an informed decision you can stand behind. If they pick it because you left the impression it was a long-term fix, that's a callback you deserve.
Level 2?
Level 2 is reflashing, replacing counter-flashing, replacing base flashing, installing a new copper system. Price range $2,000 to $10,000 or more, depending on scope.
This is the reglé installation, the one we called Not Through Wall in Episode 1.
Correct. And it's a legitimate professional repair. Beautiful copper, properly installed, long-lasting hardware. What it doesn't do is address water entering behind the veneer. The app language. This addresses the exposed flashing system, but it still relies on the existing wall assembly.
How do you say that without making it sound like you're trying to push them to level 3?
You stay factual. This is what level 2 does. This is what it doesn't do. It's your decision. You're not steering anyone. You're informing them. If a customer hears this still relies on the existing wall assembly and chooses level 2 anyway, they've made a fully informed decision and you've built credibility by not overselling them.
And if they later come back because it didn't hold?
They come back to you because you were the person who told them honestly what the repair covered and what it didn't. That's not a failure. That's a relationship.
Level 3.
Level 3 is the full through-wall restoration. Remove masonry courses, install flashing completely behind the veneer, tie into the WRB, rebuild masonry, install weeps. Price range $5,000 to $25,000 or more.
That's a wide range.
Because it's a wide scope. A single chimney shoulder might be on the low end. A commercial parapet at multiple floor lines of a church that's been slowly turning its interior into a damp room since 1987 is going to be at the top of that range or past it.
What do you say to the customer about level 3?
the exact language from the app. This is the correct long-term water management solution because it captures the water behind the veneer and redirects it back onto the roof before it reaches the interior. That's not a sales pitch. That's a description of what the repair does, which happens to also be a very compelling close.
You said the single number approach loses. Explain the psychology of why.
When you hand someone one number, their reference frame is external. They're going to call two more contractors. They're going to find someone lower. And there will always be someone lower, because there will always be a contractor who is willing to do less for less and still call it the same job. You cannot win a race to the bottom, because the bottom is always further down than you're willing to go.
But with 3 levels.
With 3 levels, the reference frame becomes internal. They're not comparing you to an outside number anymore. They're asking themselves, what's the risk if I pick level 1 and it fails in 18 months? What does it cost me to come back for level 3 after I've already paid for level 2? What's the actual difference between spending $8,000 now and spending $22,000 in 3 years? That's a calculation that favors the honest, thorough option.
And you didn't push them there.
You didn't push them anywhere. You gave them the information. The close happens naturally because the information is compelling. The customer who chooses level 3 after hearing all 3 levels is not a customer who was upsold. They're a customer who made a rational decision. Those customers don't have buyer's remorse. Those customers give referrals.
Practically, what does the presentation look like on site?
You walk the wall, you show them what you found, you explain the water path. Then, there are 3 ways we can address this. I want to walk you through all of them so you understand what each one does. Level 1, 2, 3. What it involves, what it covers, what it doesn't cover, what it costs.
You lead with level 1?
Always lead with level 1. Start with the least invasive option. If you open with level 3, you look like you're selling. If you open with level 1 and explain why it may not be sufficient, the customer works their way up through the logic of the problem on their own. They close themselves. Your job was just to provide accurate information in the right order, which is considerably more comfortable than trying to convince someone to spend $20,000.
Do you give them a written breakdown?
In writing, every time. Each level gets its own section in the quote, scope, what's included, what's not included, price. The customer should be able to read it at 10 at night when you're not there and understand exactly what they're choosing.
What if they want to negotiate level 3 down to a level 2 price?
You explain that level 3 at a level 2 price is level 2. The scope drives the cost. If they want to reduce the price, the scope adjusts. You don't discount a through-wall restoration into profitability. You adjust the scope to something you can stand behind at the price they can reach.
The app has a positioning concept worth landing. Ostermiller as a building envelope contractor, not a roofer.
This is what makes the 3-level conversation possible in the first place. Most roofing companies can't offer level 3. They don't have masonry crews. The scope of pulling and rebuilding brick courses is outside their capabilities. So, when you explain what a real through-wall repair involves, you've immediately exited the competition. You're not in the same pool as the person who showed up with a caulk gun.
Which means the customer isn't comparison shopping in the same market anymore.
Right. Once you explain the scope, masonry removal, WRB tie-in, rebuild, the customer understands that not every contractor can do this, and that the ones who say they can but don't describe the process that specifically are probably not doing the same job. You're not a roofer who handles flashing. You're a building envelope contractor who manages the water path. That changes the entire conversation, and it supports the pricing across all 3 levels.
Quick hits.
1. Never hand a customer one number on a masonry repair. 3 levels presented in writing every time. The single number approach is faster in the short term and more expensive in the long term, for you and occasionally for the customer's wall. 2. Lead with level 1. Let the customer work up through the logic of the problem on their own. If you lead with the expensive option, you're selling. If you lead with the honest assessment and let them navigate, they close themselves. It's a much better conversation. 3. Know the price ranges. 500 to 2,000 for maintenance, 2 to 10,000 for reflash, 5 to 25,000 for rebuild. When a customer asks, roughly what are we talking about, before you've finished the site assessment, having a real answer keeps the conversation moving. It depends is technically true and conversationally useless.
3 levels. Present them honestly, in writing.
And document what they chose and what you told them about each option. Your quote is a record of an informed decision, not just a price. That's professional documentation. It also protects you if anyone ever suggests the repair didn't deliver what was promised, because you described exactly what it would and wouldn't deliver before they signed. Episode 3 is the close, how customers actually decide to buy, the objections you will absolutely hear, and the specific language that separates Ostermiller from everyone else competing for that wall. The job doesn't run itself, neither does the close. That's the Working Document Field Guide series from Ostermiller.